Hi, how are you, Tiana?
I'm good, Sean. How are you doing?
Doing all right, thank you.
Good. And William, how you doing?
Hello, doing well.
Good. Thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you on the subcommittee now.
Of course.
And don't know if Dan's joining us, but since we have three of us, I'd say let's go ahead and get started.
Alrighty.
I'll call the meeting to order. So first item would be public participation, but there's no public here today, so none of that. Next would be approval of the minutes from the prior meeting, January 9th, which I sent out like that night.
They look good to me then. I'm not going to change my mind now.
Sounds good.
And I don't know if William wasn't at that meeting, right? So
Yeah, that's
he
right.
doesn't need to be.
So moved.
Second, aye.
Perfect. All right. Great. That always just feel a little bit silly with such a small group. All right. So next we're gonna do. I guess I could share the agenda for a moment so that y'all can see what we're up to tonight. So we'll do some review of the existing media, recap the recycling education event, and talk about next what topic we might want next, and any other topics that we want to be focusing on for town education. Pick a date for the next meeting and anything else unanticipated. So
All right.
those are the topics. So engagement with existing media. We've been continuing to do Facebook posts. Oh, this was exciting. So after some recent post, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, I posted about the new fast chargers up at the top of the lake. And I shared the post with the two community groups that oh my God, your cat cracks me up. My cats do the same thing all through meetings at work. I shared to the two community groups that the ESC Facebook account belongs to. And then got some emails from Tom Fetcher asking why he wasn't he saw that I had shared them but couldn't see them. He could only see the original. Where were they? I said, I shared them to the two groups. It turns out there are actually 4 groups. There are 4 Wakefield, Mass community groups. And the 2 that I was sharing to, that the ESC belongs to, are the 2 smaller, not as well read of those groups. The other 2 groups that are significantly more populated don't allow pages to join, which is why they don't show up when I make a post and say share to groups. They're not even in there. You can only share to those groups from a personal account.
I see.
So the easy way that I have been sharing all of the posts over the last couple of months had only been going to that limited audience.
All right. So not to the Wakefield community group then, or
I feel like I probably need to open up Facebook to actually show this.
because they all have horribly similar
like the
names.
one with a comma.
There's Wakefield, Massachusetts community page, which is 11,400. And the Wakefield community group is 15,000.
Right, and the 2 that this belongs to are this one here. Oops, get out of here. That has what did I didn't even click on a thing.
So that one is the
this
Wakefield
one,
community
the
group
Wakefield
is smaller,
which is 6,000.
And
this one with Wakefield,
biggest.
Mass has 3,000.
Right.
These are the 2 that the ESC page belongs to.
Okay, yeah, those are the smaller ones. So I didn't realize the names were so similar. So yes. All right, and that was also some of my confusion about the when I wasn't seeing some of them in the groups. I guess all right, so what is our fix? Do we want to alternate sharing them personally? Do we want to?
We can, yeah. For the ones that I felt were most important to reach a broader audience, I did share from my personal account.
Okay.
Like the ones about the recycling education event. But I didn't for others that were more like just sort of, informational.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
it's up to us whether we want to go to that trouble for all of them.
Yeah, and it's a little bit awkward if it's you as an individual or me as an individual
Right.
posting
Yeah, and
did you know that there's this thing, so
right. I also
Whereas-
wasn't sure if like in the situation where, I share it to these two groups that ESC belongs to, and then go share it to the other two from my personal account, are some people then seeing it 4 or 5 times on their feed and thinking that we're absolute bozos, taking too much airspace? I don't know, like,
possibly, but I probably not, because I mean, Facebook doesn't show you everything in every group all the time. And if somebody has actively chosen all 4 groups to say, show this in my feed all the time, then they're seeing other things more than once too. I mean, some of the groups that allow the commercial postings, I know that there are certain businesses that post as often as they're allowed, so Lori's 909, I see the postings for in some of the groups pretty regularly or whatever, right? So so I don't think it's going to be on us if people are seeing that, and I don't see everything in all those. I think I'm a member of at least 3 of the 4 groups, and I don't always see.
Yeah.
So but yeah, okay, that's good to know.
And I haven't looked too recently at let's see, where's the place where you can see how
Our stats
are. Yeah, there it is. William, can I just say that, like, if you are looking at any of this and you're like, well, old fogies, let me tell you how social media works, feel free to jump in and rescue us from ourselves.
Unfortunately, as teenagers go, I'm probably not the most social media savvy.
Also, probably no teenagers use Facebook anymore.
I think the number of people under the age of 30 who are using Facebook is pretty small, and those who are doing it is
true.
I use Facebook.
So they're grandma's kids.
A few bird identification chats.
That's cool.
Where I'm sure the average member age is older than you. All right.
This isn't the same page we've looked at before. Oh, but here's the reach and stuff.
And it might also be that other, if you look on the second, on the left, if you look on that second icon, that might be, is that
this one here?
The summary that?
Well, that's good. We're mostly reaching Wakefield folks. Yeah, none of these. This is not the place where we've looked at this before. I'm confused by, right? Because it's maybe it was just here. Oh yeah, okay, maybe it's here. So yeah, I mean, we have not gotten a lot of comments back. We did get some about the styrofoam bylaw.
Is that Melissa in that picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was one about the food rescue and composting at the elementary schools. They'd taken a few pictures of the group doing it. We couldn't, of course, post any pictures of any of the kids, or not their faces. So an unidentifiable back of a head was acceptable. Yeah, so Melissa and Cheyenne at the school. Yeah, so I mean, we get the, same handful of people liking or
Mhm.
hearting our posts, occasionally some comments.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have a great way to gauge whether it's not a ton of effort, but is it actually reaching anyone who doesn't already know this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think the sharing out to the groups is the bigger reach,
Sure.
and and getting the folks who are maybe not inclined to seek it out but might be responsive. So I think it is worth doing that. And yeah, we'll have to share. And if there are ones you want me to share, just drop me a note and let me know.
Okay, sure. Yeah, like if we do one about the letter, about the Voc, I might have you share that since you wrote it and are probably in a better
Okay.
spot to field commentary if there is any.
All right.
I don't know if we're gonna post that one, but
Yeah, I think we could
Okay.
post it. Yeah.
like once is it gonna get put somewhere?
It gets put on the ESC web page.
Okay, all right. I know the
Right, I
one,
think
the one about the energy park was put on the webpage,
Yeah.
and I just shared it out. But I wasn't sure if this one was also. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, once that's posted somewhere, if you want to drop me a note, I can post it and then you can share it.
Sure.
Um,
All
okay.
right.
Any feedback on the email list?
Not much. I mean, I think that the folks who prefer email, it helps. I mean, I'd like to think that might have helped. There's not a ton of people on it, but I do think that it might have helped with the recruitment for the event. But we don't have a good counterfactual on that unless we go asking people what,
Yeah.
where did you see this, or where were the first 5 times you saw this? We can keep growing. I think it's more for events, and if people want to sign on, we can push on the Facebook groups, and that's something worth reposting the larger group, saying if you prefer emails about events, let us know. We're happy to add you to our listserv.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I mean, that's just, I think, at least for those of us who work certain types of desk-bound jobs, something's more likely to go in our calendar from our email than it is from social media. But
yeah, totally. Any other sharing, like general sharing ideas?
No,
do you have any?
Not quite sure. I mean, I guess, do you have Instagram for something like this?
Well, so this is something we talked about. Instagram, the tracking and storage tools for Facebook also work for Instagram because it's the same parent company. And I think
we're required per the open meeting stuff, laws and things, like as the ESC, if we post stuff, it has to be somewhere where it's archived, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why Sean was bringing up that, like, we do have that capability for Instagram.
And to be honest, William, we had kind of punted on that until we had a high school representative on this subcommittee, with the hopes that might be something that somebody could participate in. But my recollection, Tiana, correct me if I'm wrong, is we have the thumbs up to do that. Twitter was going to be tougher because we would have to self-archive the things. I was still willing to give that a shot because I do use Twitter a lot for professional things. But then the discussion at the time was, let's not prioritize that in case Twitter is melting down fast. Which it hasn't melted down. The decline has not continued, I guess, would be, so I still, my feelings around Twitter, despite some, concerns about the last several months, is that there are a lot of people who use Twitter for certain types of content that might be a good fit. So I don't think it's a complete waste of time to go to Twitter. But William, what's your comfort with if you were given the keys to a second Instagram account, is that something you think you could take some of the things we're posting and translate it for an Instagram account, translate it to a more Instagram friendly format?
I definitely think I could try. Yeah.
So
cool.
I mean, I think that'd be a great thing to try out, and then we can see if we can engage some folks there. You know, I'm on Instagram purely as a lurker because I have kids your age, William. So, and for some things that are there instead elsewhere. But
pretty much only look at like funny videos of cats on Instagram. Like that my feed is now almost entirely funny videos of cats.
If you like stand-up comedy and 30-second sound bites, Instagram's a good place for that too.
All right.
So.
I need to curate my feed a little more.
You know, so you know, I had a trade. You have to engage with it because otherwise it just sits there and like guesses what you want. And if you're a guy my age, it just guesses you want a lot of thirst trap type stuff. And so I find like I have to look for other stuff so I don't get all that. And then so now I get funny cat videos and comedy and my kids and their friends. So
how do we get William the keys to the account? Is that
that's probably
email
a
with
Jen
Jen?
question. Yeah. But it's probably going to be something similar. And I think even the standard Instagram app lets you, I know it lets you maintain a second account because one of my kids has like an art account and a personal account. So so it would just be a matter then, William, of keeping track of where you are so that you're not posting to your friends from the ESC account or posting things to your friends that you might not necessarily be sure. But it'd be great if you wanted to.
Again, not necessarily as much of a problem for me because I think the only posts I've ever done have been just photos of birds. So
All right. I think we're getting some insight into why William's on this committee then.
Cool. All right. I will send an email to Jen and William connecting you, and she can then get you hooked up. And I'll share with you the page where I've been keeping track of the posts that I've done. Just in case you want to like it, it's the because of the whole can't have shared documents thing, it's read only for you to see where I'm tracking all the posts that we've done, just in case that's an easier way for you to like get ideas of what things to share. You're also welcome just to pillage from the Facebook account. Yeah, cool. Well, that'll be fun. We'll see if that gets more engagement. And we should post, once you've got it up and running, we should post to the Facebook group and the email list for people to follow the Instagram account too.
Yeah. Are you allowed to put up posters at the high school? Could we put up posters with a QR code for anybody, for any of the students who might want to follow?
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
I would
So
say
that
let's
might-
wait to make one once the Instagram is up, and then we
Yeah,
can have
yeah,
one
yeah.
with the Instagram and the email and the Facebook.
And so that way anyone who joins sees at least 3 or 4 posts there too.
Yeah.
So no, I think it's definitely more effective that way. But then if there are other people who might, especially if they're going to be more of the events, and when we have
Pardon
some
me
of
one
that.
quick second. My kid needs to give me a hug. Good night.
Oh, sure.
Sorry about that.
Not at all.
I thought I had already given him a hug, but he appeared halfway into pajamas for a hug. Good night.
There was a hug deficit. So.
Apparently so. And I sure wouldn't stand in the way of it.
All right. So if we're pursuing Instagram, then I mean,
all right, sounds good.
Surprise you.
Okay. All right. The socks are going upstairs instead. All of them.
So then I guess sit on Twitter for a while. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, Twitter would also, we'd have to be archiving things in some appropriate way. So
Yeah, and that's
probably, I mean, might be as simple as sending screenshots to the ESE email account, because but you know, Jen seemed lukewarm on it as well.
okay. Yeah, I'd say let's hold off on that for now to see how Instagram does.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And were you still on the email list? Were you still planning to do like digests of recent posts? Or more the like event based?
No, I will definitely the events, but also I was thinking some digests of the and I just haven't done that. I think what I need to do is just here, let me put it into my to-do list. I think I just need to set up calendar reminders for every like 10 or 14 days to go in and grab 2 or 3 of the posts for that. And that's just that's a part I neglected to do. So
Yeah, sounds good.
I will add that and then get that into my workflow.
Can we move on to the community education or the in-person events? Oh boy, where did my notes go? Oh, well, that was interesting. Use this electronic tablet thing for taking notes, and I apparently told it to do something I did not intend it to do.
Oh.
So the recycle event, I know it conflicted with the other planning meeting, but it was a good success on attendance. The room was full. Like any additional person, I had to stand in the back. We ran out of chairs, which was very exciting. I was briefly worried we were going to have to start turning people away because people had to register in advance, but we weren't actually checking names at the door, so there was really no way to tell whether people who were showing up had registered in advance. But it was good, and Gretchen was very engaging. The group there was very engaged, had lots of questions. The recording just landed. It is on YouTube and on the syndication place for the local for the cable access channels of the world. And I think Barbara said East Hampton just picked it up.
Oh, great.
So it is out there. Yeah, so it's good.
Oh, great. Yeah. Sorry I couldn't be there. Looking forward though to meeting Gretchen in a few. We have her coming into Tufts as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Slightly different. And then I'm glad to hear there was an appetite for that. So that bodes well for at least it's not a poor use of our efforts to plan a few more.
Yeah, and I do wish maybe next time we will ask at the door or ask show of hands like how people heard about it, because I don't know, how much was Facebook posts, the posters in town, posters I put up at local shops, like any of that. So I don't know for sure which of those things we would need to do next time, but
we'll just do them all.
I just do them all again. The door prize was well received, which was fun. It's a little funny giving away a recycle barrel. And yeah, and she offered to give tours of the recycle facility. And people were pretty enthusiastic about that too. So we could set up a follow-on event that is a field trip to see it in person.
No,
I certainly would be eager to do.
Yeah.
And then there are certainly a bunch of tips about recycling that we learned that I can add to the side of things we post about. The tip I walked away with is if you open a can that has like a cat food can, we open a cat food can every couple of days, put the lid inside the can and then crimp the can just a little bit, just give it like a little squeeze just so that the lid stays in the can and isn't just a sharp piece of small metal flying around in the recycle facility.
All right.
That was a good one. But anyway, lots of other tips. I'll start sharing them around.
Oh, good.
And so, I think there's appetite for that sort of thing. The library was a great host. So I'd say, look, we should plan to do another.
We should definitely plan more. I guess the one thing I'd be cautious about, I'm not looking to be pessimistic, but it might actually also be the case that the recycling talk is relatively sexy as far as things we might host is because there's been so much hand wringing and reporting about,
Sure.
well, China doesn't take these things anymore and da. So I think we should also be cautious and not assume that like, oh, if we got 50
Everything
plus
is-
people for recycling, that we'll get
Yeah.
100 for the next thing. It might actually be that is a marquee
That's
issue
our
for a
best
lot of
topic.
people. Yeah, so
Yeah,
not that we
that's
shouldn't
certainly
try,
possible.
but like, let's also
Mhm.
keep our expectations modest until
Yeah.
but all that's great. I mean, did we have things already in the hopper? And I guess we can brainstorm things, and I think William thoughts on things that might be of high interest to people in the high school as well, would be a good starting point for some of the possible things we do next too, because
I mean, I think a lot of what was raised in that event, because I went to it, was very, very helpful, especially for people in recycling clubs and things like that. But I'm not sure there's necessarily a level of interest where kids my age would actually go to those events and sit there for an hour. So maybe there could be some kind of related event or something with clubs like this to kind of help increase awareness, maybe like increase awareness for the whole school as well. I'm not sure. Because I know that for our recycling, at least, we have done very little to actually manage what we are recycling. We're just kind of dumping the bins and taking them out to the curb. That's all we can manage to do. So
Mm-hmm. Do you think the students at the high school like have enough understanding of what should and shouldn't be recycled? Like, do you look in the bins at all, and is it
I mean,
decent?
I think it definitely varies. Certain math halls you might see just lots and lots of nice paper, and then other ones you might just see people dumping food and wrappers and everything. So
Mm-hmm. Right. I wonder if we could like pull together some of the, well, or even just like print out some of those posters from, was it Recycle Smart? Which of those things that she was showing with like, yes, these things in the top row, no, not these other things. You know, just to
yeah,
raise more understanding.
yeah.
recyclesmartma.org.
I think that's the one.
Yeah.
They've got like one sort of poster infographic thing that is like the main, you know, if this is all you focus on, recycle these things and not those things. As far as other topics, we talked about trying to do something food related. Sean, because you've got
I have people who would
contacts.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, food related is definitely a possibility. There's a few things we could do. So, there's a lot of our students, graduate students, who might be interested in things. In terms of something that I might be willing to deliver, I've got a bit of a dog and pony on the use of sustainability labels and sustainability and food issues more broadly. And I need to work on them. I've given that to more professional audiences. And I actually need to adapt it in a more translatable way for something else I promised to do. So other than the evening of presenting, it's not that much extra work for me. So that's one, if you think that like labeling of foods and sustainability labels and what do these claims mean and how does that, play out in the marketplace, I'd be willing to do that.
I think that'd be interesting. Yeah.
There's definitely other food related issues that we could, my colleague that I have a few larger research projects with has been doing work on labor risk in food systems as well, which, so if we wanted a crossover event with the Human Rights Commission and, and maybe she and I could split the stage to talk about some of these things jointly. Another area of work where be in my comfort zone is a kind of on like cultivated meat. where
Mhm.
because we have a larger project. Tufts is hosting this USDA funded center on that. So again, part of the promise of that's environmental, part of, there are other things and issues, and I work with a lot of big boosters for it, but my approach is a little more balanced. So so I don't think it would just be a sales pitch.
Could we do it in the summer and have like a barbecue about it?
Possibly, we would
Like
just
if
need a
we're doing, if
venue.
it, yeah,
I'm
probably
sure,
not at the library. The
I'm sure
library doesn't let us
serving
really.
food is a way to make things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, we could do that and try to make it more fun.
Yeah, like I could see that being more engaging and more real, like let people actually taste the things and see, maybe you don't get a whole burger or a piece, but we.
Well, the cultivated meat, I can't bring it like that.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't. That you can't do. Sorry, no. I thought you meant just in
Oh,
general a food related event where we
got
had
it.
some food. Yeah. No. Sorry. The cultivated meat is not something widely available yet. Maybe this
Got it.
time next year we could do that easily. But yeah,
Fair
maybe.
enough.
So, and yeah. Well,
I thought
I
you
won't
meant
go into
like
detail.
the like Beyond Meat
Oh no, no. So
Possible
the
Burger.
the
Those.
cultivated meat is the actual meat, but it's chemically identical to meat, but it is grown in closed systems, not so in vitro, not in vivo. So so really lab grown meat. That's cultivated. I mean, but we are doing a lot of work on alternative meat product, but I think some of that would come up with the sustainability thing. Yeah, when I've done some other talks where I've talked about, I do other things around food labeling and that tie into food policy and stuff, and where we did things where we had like, okay, regional aponyms and like, where we had different beers and cheeses, but I don't think we could use town money for that. So
maybe not. Another possible topic area that came up in last week's big committee meeting was around the new building codes. I don't think that's ripe yet. I think we need to get a little further along and like have the experts able to really explain it and have good examples of it and like how it impacts particular building projects, around town. And I think that would be particularly relevant whenever it's approaching time for us to have folks vote on adopting the not the stretch code, the opt-in special bonus extra code. Like I think when we get closer to that, I think it would be useful to have some sort of education around that. But I don't know on what timing we're like. I sure don't think we're planning that to be voted on in May.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know that. And then for speak on that, you think that'd be something we might ask Tom to put together or look for?
Yeah, Tom and Robin, or they might have someone in mind that would be good to talk about it. But I think we should time it more close to when it might be voted on. Other topics that I know there's a bunch of like energy related ones that Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light does on their own. Like they have their webinars on heat pumps and things like that. So I don't want to get in their way.
Although we could help promote something that they're doing,
oh, absolutely.
but they want to do something in person instead of a webinar. Yeah, I'm trying to think what might be some more fun ones. Are there things around recreation or wildlife or other things? Would there be experts who could do, who would do engaging talks on things that would be of local to regional interest? I think having not tons of it, but one or two of those types of things would really appeal more to naturalists. birders, William, if there's somebody, you know, a good speaker that you think would be engaging and might bring in people who are novices in the space and appeal to them, as well as things like, you know, or some natural history. You know, so I know there's a book on Lake Quannapowitt. I don't know, you know, if the people who wrote it are engaging speakers or not, but those are the types of things that, and for all I know, maybe some other groups had those speakers in the past and we'd be kind of reinventing the wheel. But if it's around natural history, I think then, you know, we're taking a stab at least one of those.
I do know a couple of really great birders in the area, so I could definitely look into their potential in public speaking and things.
Yeah, somebody come in and do a Birds of Wakefield talk and talk about particularly where some of the highlights of some of the natural areas in and abutting Wakefield. You know, somebody who had at least enough familiarity to say, here's some things you can see in Breakheart. And, you know, I know there have been, you know, I see the great eagle photos that have been taken around the lake and stuff like that. So, you know, anything to just, I think oftentimes people have stump speeches and it doesn't take a lot of effort to tailor it to a town or a locality. And William, I'm sure if this is an interest of yours, you probably have some thoughts in mind already of things that you could say, well.
I do know that there are like free to attend walks run by I think the Brookline Bird Club throughout most of Massachusetts, including I think there was one centered along the lakes around here, led by a couple of different people. So possibly we could, I guess, spread public awareness about these walks.
Yeah, if you find out about them, like if there are some coming up, definitely let me know. We can spread the word on it. That would be great. I think that'd be really interesting. Yeah, I think people would be interested to hear about, you know, what are the birds that are actually you know, showing up in our lakes and our forests. And also, I think it'd probably be worth there being at least some takeaways around what can you do to support them, right? Don't use rat poison. You know, turn off your lights at night. Look, are there birds of the neighborhood friendly things that we can all do to be better, you know, better neighbors to the birds?
Yeah, 100%. I know there's a bunch of things about that, including I think protecting your windows from bird strikes and things like that. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great topic. Cool. Are there any other town topics that we want to be engaging in? So I mentioned the building codes thing that we might vote on at some point. Are there any, I mean, we've just did the statement, excuse me, the statement about the VOC. Is there more education that we should be doing about that broadly? I don't mean in-person events at this point. I mean,
Yeah. No.
Other spread the word.
I'm not so sure about that because it was really hard to thread the needle of what do we say without being advocates for a position, but still bringing something to the table that others aren't doing. So I think, you know, reposting the petition messages and stuff like that is just not in our wheelhouse. So I think
there was something you mentioned about an open comment period. I think you had, did you mention that, or maybe that was
Paul mentioned that, and then I went and Robin emailed me about it and I couldn't remember exactly, and so I went and got the clarification from him, and his clarification was generous in length. It was so this is around the MEPA fail. So Mass EPA reviews major projects, but they determined that no MEPA, Mass DEP determined that there was no MEPA review needed. And then this group is saying this is an error. So there is a comment that is available for petition available for comment through March 3rd. And so what the group is asking for is that they're petitioning for a full environmental impact review for the project, right? And so under MIPA and, you know, Mass DEP would have to agree that it warrants it. And so their argument is that it was a major error, that that determination of no review needed was made. And you know, so and so that was the, so again, it's kind of niche because you really, I mean, the best we could say is, are you interested in this? There is currently a petition, but again, then we are advertising the petition requesting the review. So how much can we do without crossing the line into using town resources to advocate for a position before town ultimately, you know, the review is a state agency issue, but ultimately parts of this decision are going to be before town bodies. So right, so that is what I thought my job was in terms of threading the needle of reminding asking committees to prioritize environmental impacts and stuff like that, rather than saying this is wrong or this should be opposed.
Yeah, and I think your letter did a really nice job of threading that needle, and that was well done and hard to do, sure.
So
so sharing again, that petition is,
if there are town events, if there is
or meetings about it.
The building committee, if they're having meetings, and then I think we could say interesting.
Right, I've posted before about like the Concom meetings when it's been on the agenda. Other town topics. High school's getting plenty of press. Before the March meeting, we could repost the statement that Wakefield made, or that ESC made.
And I'm hoping that out of this OSRC process that there's some, you know, that but I was kind of waiting. I'm hoping that Judy will be at our land use committee on Wednesday and just see about then whether we wanted to then kind of put some effort into trying to get trailhead information, things like that in appropriate places. That was the other thing. But
that'd be great.
And not that has to wait until after this conservation core thing is formalized and finalized, but I kind of thought it made sense to embark on that when we had volunteers who are going to be cleaning these sites anyway, and that type of thing.
Right.
So
and then be able to call for more volunteers if we want them. And
so I hadn't done much of them. I'll see where we are with that on Wednesday. We're having that meeting and what there's appetite for, and frankly it's also been my bandwidth. So
okay, anything related to that you want me to toss it my way. Was there an open space meeting coming up also?
So I wrote to the no.
Okay.
Is this not the snarky, but the short answer. I wrote to the contact person for the consultancy that is supporting this, and a month ago, just about, that they were going to be reaching out to the town staff to schedule the next committee meeting. A workshop date wasn't confirmed. It'll be on the meeting agenda, put a date on the calendar and start planning. With that, I will pause until we regroup as a committee. So it was kind of, which I saw as a polite way of saying, don't call us, we'll call you.
Fair enough.
So I don't think it's the fastest process at this point, given that it's mid-February. I think it is necessarily going to be it's going to be slower than what was originally shared, I think, but maybe not.
Okay. Oh, and we'll certainly want to do some stuff around the any Earth Day stuff that is coming up this spring.
So that, and we did not chat at the last meeting at all, larger committee, about whether there was anything we want to do as a committee. Right, that was not really a topic, so.
No, I know
that-
the state rep Lipper Garabedian is doing the town recycle day thing again. I don't know what the date is, but it's sometime in the vicinity of Earth Day, where, you know, the textile people and the last year I think municipal gas collected dehumidifiers, I don't know, collected something.
Collect them both, put them in a room and let them battle it out.
Yeah, Black Earth Compost was there. The DPW was there. There was like a bunch of tables and info and places you could get rid of certain things. So we will certainly want to drum up interest in attending that when it's actually scheduled and we know more about it. But I think it'll be sometime in April. But I don't know if there's other stuff we want to do in celebration of Earth Day as a committee.
Yeah. That window's getting tight if our next meeting isn't until March, as a full committee. So speaking of the vote, an email just popped up now, advertising this. Please submit your comments on the MEPA Failsafe Citizens petition that opened a few days ago, is open through March 3rd. And that's going out on change.org to everybody who signed the petition. And that's over 5,000 people now. So, so they had so they've got reach, because I mean, they've got their own group and with its own mailing list, but the change.org list is everyone who signed the petition would be on it. So 5,105, 6, 7 people. It's growing up. It's going up as I open the. There must be another meeting. Unless it's a lot of people watching this, but I don't think so. Because this is only posted after the recording's done.
I think that's right.
So something's going on. It's jumped like 20 in the last minute.
Yeah. Oh, another thing we might have folks voting on, we should see if there's any other sustainability related topics that'll come up at town meeting in May. The one that the waste subcommittee was maybe trying to, waste reduction subcommittee that is, was maybe try to promote is something around requiring multifamily buildings to make recycling available. Frankly, at this point, I don't know if we're going to have our act together in time to get it in the May meeting. We're a little bit like trying to figure out what the right approach is, but if that is going to be on the May meeting, we certainly want to promote that broadly and make sure that folks are, just aware of the waste bans on certain items, and that everyone should not be throwing those things away. But generally that, some of these buildings aren't making that possible for residents. Certainly heard a lot about that at the event, but there are several people who are frustrated that their building does not give them an opportunity to recycle.
No, I think that's a good issue to focus on. I mean, it's a missing piece, and it's about also making sure it's about including people. I mean, it's I think a lot of people have a picture of Wakefield as a town, a lower density town, and that's not completely true.
Right.
Put aside any arguments over what should be coming next. So that would be another set of issues too, where I just don't know if there's educational events. I mean, there's certainly going to be a lot happening. There's going to be a lot of interest in what happens with the redevelopment of the lakeside property. So
yes.
So that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, it is the best place to take your teenage kid to learn to drive, but I don't know how many empty parking lots, and I'm not going to join a preserve the empty parking lot committee. So
No. Well, that's
so,
also
but
a
I
very
really,
bumpy parking lot. Like
it is.
the
It is.
surface of that one is not good.
Yeah. No.
I prefer, I don't have a teenage kid, but when my mom was buying a new car, she wanted some similar things. We went to the parking lots across from the Stop and Shop, like across that little street, sort of behind the Bertucci's. There's like an office building, like on your way into
Oh yeah, that's
Redding's
very quiet in
DPW.
there. That's true.
That's a good
And the
one.
roads are slightly better maintained.
Slightly, yeah.
The last time I was down that way, it's still not perfect, but yes.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that'd be a good place for me to take my kid, but also,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, so what would be the right timing to try to come up with an event, whether it's one of the ones that we think we do in-house with one of our members, whether it be me or Tom or Robin or, I mean, the other thing is we could take this, we could and should take this to our, to the full meeting and just see if anyone has something that they want to volunteer to do. Some people do some pretty interesting things in their day jobs. Tiana, you haven't offered anything yet.
I'm not. I mean, the part of it that I work on is not the part that I think people would be interested in. I'm just building software to collect data.
But there are very cool things happening there. So I forgot to mention, by the way, and sorry, William, this is going to be a little inside bit, but I think so. Two of my former students have been there recently. So Adriel Shue Flanders is there. Do you know Adriel?
Oh, I worked very closely with Adriel. Okay. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was
funny.
so he was one of our students a few years ago, and I worked closely with him. He helped me and my colleague develop a class that we co-teach. We had kind of retained him on that, and it was relevant to some of the things he was interested in for his job search. And then Deirdre Schiff was there for a while, and doing data analytics before she moved on elsewhere. So
very cool.
Yeah, so.
Well, I see Adriel at least twice a week. I mean, over Zoom primarily. Oh, but I will name drop. Well,
say hi for me, because I missed the days when we saw him a few times a week. So
yeah, how cool.
Yeah, I think I did. Last time I think I really chatted with him, other than just a fast email, was we did a virtual happy hour during the pandemic at some point. Nice. But I haven't been in touch with him much since. So
yeah. But yeah, we should definitely ask the committee at large, like what topics they might want to educate about, or have people in their networks that are really, engaging about particular topics. I think maybe the greenhouse gas inventory that Chris has been working on, like if we have someone who feels comfortable sharing that out, that could be really interesting. Might be,
I think that could be
very interesting topic of conversation. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think timing wise, if we do, a few of these a year, I think that's good. I think they're, it's a decent amount of work to get it set up and advertise it and all of that. So we shouldn't, I don't think we should try to do,
no, I don't think it's one a month. It's not a monthly thing, but every quarter or so might be the right speed on, at least until we get our sea legs and get a sense of what's a hit and what, like, if it turns out that there's a group of 50 to 100 people that wants to come to as many as we'll do, then that tells us something different than if it's a more sporadic thing, or if we have highs and lows with the attendance.
I mean, I think the challenge will be if we have more than 50 people, we will not fit in the library space. So we would have to be able to gauge the potential interest of a topic and pick a location that will accommodate.
All right. Well, so be a good problem to have.
It would. All right. Well, I would say let's ask the bigger committee around topics and think about who we know in food, in nature and birding, in carbon stuff, in greenhouse gas inventories, whatever else might be interesting topics. And we can also put something on Facebook asking, or an email. I was going to email out to the list of attendees. Maybe I'll ask for feedback
did you at the event, did you ask attendees if they want to join the email list?
I promoted the email list and there was a sign up for it in the back of the room.
Okay.
So
So
I was going to send out a follow-up email.
okay, to the individuals and just say,
So I will remind
let it,
them
okay,
of the email list.
all right. But if you did even get just a few names, you can just email me those.
I
or-
didn't walk away with that. I don't know if we even had it on a paper
Oh,
or it was just the QR code.
okay,
Dan took all the signs though.
I see.
So you could ping Dan and ask if he
All right, yeah, haven't
got
seen him,
anyone. Okay,
since
email if you feel
January.
like. Feedback. Next topic. Yeah, cool. Okay. Next on the agenda is picking our next meeting. 4 weeks from now would be the 13th of March. How does that sound to you both?
Let's see.
William, is Monday, we've been doing Monday evenings at 7:30. Is that
Looks clear to
generally
me.
good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works well for me.
Okay. So be it.
All right, 7:30, right?
Yes.
All right.
And then, are there any other matters not anticipated that y'all want to talk about?
Not for me.
Neither mind.
All right, well then I motion to adjourn.
Aye. Second, aye.
William?
Aye.
All right, well then, meeting adjourned. Thank you both very much.
All right, see you both
Good to
later.
see ya.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good rest of your night.
You too.